my name is Ryden Beecham, and this is my video. OSHA, which is the acronym for the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, was founded in 1971 by Congress as a federal agency within the Department of Labor due to high death rates of workers that were going on in workplaces all across the country. OSHA has helped to establish health and safety standards which are still being used in the workplaces today, and it has ensured that these standards are enforced by several methods. The reason why OSHA is so important has many reasons, specifically for the safety of workers in the workplace by inspecting any potential and fatal situations that workers could and will face in the workplace. And because of that, OSHA has greatly reduced the number of fatalities of workers in the workplace by 65% since its founding in 1971. OSHA has also enforced worker rights in regards to job safety and ensure that employers are held responsible for any injuries or deaths that have occurred within the workplaces and ensure that the safety of their employees are at their utmost priority. The type of people who are typically covered by OSHA tend to be private sector workers in every one of the 50 states of the United States of America, as well as every single federal agent that work in the agencies employed by the federal government. However, there are some exceptions in regards to who are covered by OSHA, such as state and local workers, who tend to fall under OSHA Act protections, so long as they are working in a state that has a OSHA-approved state plan. Now, whenever an OSHA inspection is performed, the inspector typically shows up without any advance notice or warning and conducts the investigations into any accidents that may have occurred to any worker, such as amputations, hospitalizations, or worse, fatalities. These investigations are typically conducted on site and are relatively remote in how frequent they are. And when it comes to OSHA inspections, the inspector has 5 priorities in mind. Priority 1 is looking for any imminent danger situations that will potentially end up causing a workplace fatality, which leads into priority number 2, which is investigating into catastrophes that occurred and resulted in a workplace fatality. Priority number 3 for OSHA investigators is to look into any complaints or referrals that were sent in by any employees, especially in regards to industries that have high illness or injury rating, which fall under priority 4, which are investigations against severe violators of the OSHA safety standards and potentially put their workers in severe risks. And then finally, there's priority number 5, which stipulates that OSHA investigators are to perform follow-up inspections to routinely make sure that employers are following the OSHA safety standards and keep their employees safe at all times. OSHA takes any violations very, very seriously and will issue citations for those violations. One such example was in Texas, where an employer was fined $500,000 for a worker fatality that occurred in the workplace. A second example was in Connecticut, where an employee was practically fined $300,000 for respiratory hazards that his workers were exposed to. And finally, a third citation example that was issued by OSHA was in Pennsylvania, where an employer was fined $335,000 for exposing their workers to potential fall hazards that would have led to any potential deaths. It is very clear from these citations that OSHA takes any violations to their safety standards very, very seriously, as well as the utmost safety of the workers. And any employer who disregards the safety standards and puts their employees at risk are levied heavy citations by OSHA. This is why OSHA is very important, and honestly, the country is pretty much better off with OSHA because of the fact that they ensure that the safety standards are followed to the measure. So I hope you learned something from my video, and enjoy.